Number 17 is ye old trig word problem. It's a rarity. It's not asked there a lot. It's a low percentage question, but they are due for it. So I would know how to do it because these questions really are just calculator questions. You could see they gave you this funky equation here with this vertical shifting is over here, or the average. This is also known as the average. Here's your horizontal shifting over here. This is going to shift to the right. Here's your frequency over here, and believe it or not, this would have to be distributed, so don't worry about that. Here's your A and your amplitude over here, which you'd have to take into consideration the 6 and the 19 to get your min and your max values. So it's all about the calculator, and if you're lucky, if you put this into the calculator, you can find all your values in the table. Otherwise, you'd have to put like a comparison value in your Y2 and look for intersects in the graph, but do not give up in a question like this. They look a little bit more difficult than what they are. The problem with this question is because this is in radians, you have to change your mode to radians. They set these questions up very sensitively to be by radians, like hours, months, days. In this case, it happens to be 24 hours in a day. So they're looking for it to be a more sensitive measure, like radians. So you do have to change your mode to radians. But please, what does this say? Change it back. It should say change it back to degrees right after you're done. Or else, can you imagine taking your test all in radians? You would just cry, right? So let's interpret the data. It says that it initially starts at midnight, so x equals 0 is going to be midnight. That's really important. That's probably one of the most important things, is because if you don't know that x equals 0 is midnight, then you can't interpret your data. So we put this into the calculator right here, into y equals, and I have to change my mode. I'm going to change my mode over to radian mode, and I better remember to change that back, right? And now this is what you do with the calculator to graph it. The first thing you do is zoom 7. That's a standard zoom trig window. I'm going to try and look above the calculator for you. And you can see that calculator running over here. Like, oh, where'd you go? No picture. Because the window doesn't show you the picture. So we're going to have to manipulate a little bit. My suggestion next is to do a zoom, what is that? 0 or zoom fit. A zoom fit. And the calculator with a zoom fit will resize it for you so it could try to find the max and the mins of the problem. A little bit better, right? But still not my cup of tea. I'd like to see this quadrant right here. So I'm going to change my window now, and since this has to be doing with hours of the day, I'm going to change my x min and my x max to 0 to 24. Now let's just hit graph, because we don't want to change that window. And that's looking much better. You can see your sine curve right here. Is it sine? Is it cosine? It's sine here. It's your sine curve. And I do see my min and my max values, which is cool. If I really want to see them a little bit better, I can manipulate my y values. Maybe make my y min 10. And my y max maybe 30, so I could see it a little bit better. And hit graph. That wasn't a necessity. But you could see I could see my min and my max values a little bit better here. So if I did have to use the calculator features in my calc menu, I could. Right, so I want to go to my table and make sure I'm going up by ones. I'm not, so I'm going to go up by ones here so I can see every single value. I'm going to start my table at 0 because I know that's midnight. And here we go. At midnight, it's going to be 17 degrees and change. At 1 a.m., 16 degrees. At 2 a.m., etc. So I would copy what I need from this table. You can copy the whole 24 lines in it that's not really necessary, but what I need from it, and write what its interpretation is right next to it. I would write midnight here, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., etc. to make sure that you're pulling off the proper data. Now part A wants us to figure out what the temperature was at 9 a.m. So I'm going to go down to 9. So at 9 a.m. it's going to be 16 degrees. If I wanted to go into my second calc menu and put a value in of x equals 9, I could do that as well. It would give me my 16 degrees as well. So after it's done graphing, it's going to say x equals at the bottom, hit enter, and there's your 16. But I was able to find what I needed at the table, so why bother? So what do I put on my paper? Well, I put down the table. I should put on graphing calculator. I should put where I'm putting it into the calculator. I should tell the grader that my table I got from the calculator. I didn't do this on my own. Put an X and a Y column. Put my data interpretation over here, that this is midnight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., etc. Now, I don't need anything. I don't have to put the whole table down if I don't want. I need 9 a.m. Now, it's a golden rule, since this is kind of like a guess and check, that you should always put at least 3 lines of your table. I always put one above when I'm looking and one below. And there is my 16 degrees. It's not enough to just circle the value. You actually have to write the answer on the side. So there's my answer at 9 a.m. at 16 degrees. Now, the second part of the table wanted my min and max. So if I'm lucky, I can find my min and max on the table. I'm going to start back at 0. So I go to second table set. I'm going to start at 0. And go to my graph. And it brings me right to 0. All that table start does is bring me where I want to go. Like if I wanted to listen to a CD, I wanted to listen to the 7th track, I don't have to go through 1 through 6 to get there. I can go in and go track 7. And that's all your table does. Your table is created, an infinite table is created, but it's where I can access it, where I'm viewing it, if you will. So you can see here that it's steadily going down, decreasing. And look right around here. Do you see the 13 and do you see the 2, 13.204? Do you see that symmetry? Let me go down a little bit in the table so we can see a little bit more symmetry. And do you see the symmetry right here? I'm very lucky that I saw symmetry because of the symmetry, I know that 13 has to be my minimum value. So 13 is my minimum. I'm going to keep looking up, looking down for my maximum. You can see how it's increasing. I'm going to try and find symmetry. And there you go. You see the symmetry right here? See how that's the upper value, 25? And that's my maximum value because I saw symmetry. So I could just copy those values down in the table. Here's my min. This is my min right here. This is my max. This is my min. And get your 13 degrees and your 25 degrees right there. Now you could use the max and min features of the calculator. I'll just show you quickly. The max and min features of the calculator is if you do second trace, which is the calc menu, and as soon as you put something into y equals, it lights up that calc menu. It's lovely. So you see you have your minimum value is 3. If I go in there and I want the minimum value is right around here and it says left bound. So you see my cursor, I want to bring it to the left of the minimum. I'm going to toggle left. There you are. See, it looks like a little spider. Hit enter. It wants the right bound, and right bound is going to be right around here. I'm going to toggle right. Hit enter. Oopsie. Sorry. I had a little snag there. I'm going to go back and do it again. I hit the subtraction key by accident. So left bound, got to do it again. Sorry. Left bound. Right bound. Trying to look at the camera and the calculator at the same time. And then guess, hit enter. And you can see that it gives you at approximately 5. This is where the min key is a little fickle. See, it says 99999. That's a 5. It's 13. And if I want to do the maximum, I go back in, and I could do the maximum with the same thing. If you're not sure where your calculator, where your cursor is, it tells you at all times where you are when you're toggling. I'm just going to toggle. I want to go to the left of that apex. Hit enter. It marks it. See how it marks it? And go to the right. Apex. Hit enter. And then you could have gotten your maximum that way.